Asus has been going after the same idea for about 4 years now. What if you had more screen real estate without actually making the laptop any bigger? They started with a 17-inch display that folded in half. Then they moved on to 2 separate OLED displays stacked on top of each other with a keyboard that neatly fit inside the closed lid. Now today we're walking through all 3 generations, what Asus got right, what they got wrong, and what changed each time. So if you're trying to decide whether the current 2026 model is worth the money, then this is the right video for you. Now the first one we're going to look at is the 2022 Asus 17 Fold. Now this was not a dual screen laptop. It began as a single 17-inch OLED panel that physically folded in half. And when you opened it flat, you had a large 17-inch laptop to work with. It is a 100% DCI P3 OLED display with great contrast, deep colors, dark blacks. It's a great display. And the size of it gave you a lot of workspace in an on-the-go form factor. And it was only the footprint of a standard 13-inch laptop. Now Asus also put in quad speakers, so it had good audio, it had a 75 watt-hour battery, and a magnesium alloy chassis that felt premium in your hands, unfolded and folded. And so overall, they did a great job with the build quality and the usability of the device. But the folding screen introduced some trade-offs that Asus couldn't fully engineer their way out of. Because the display needed to flex, it was covered in a plastic material rather than a nice durable glass material. Plastic picks up fingerprints much faster, it scratches a lot easier, and it's harder to clean. And for a touchscreen device, it did not have any pen support because they were ultimately nervous that the surface wasn't designed for it, and the ultimate concern was that you would scratch it when applying too much pen pressure on the screen display. Performance was the other issue. Asus put an Intel 12th Gen Core U-Series chip inside, a low-power processor designed for thin laptops, not workhorses. And this kind of had a workhorse price point. We'll talk about that in a moment. It handled everyday tasks fine, but anything demanding pushed it quickly to its limits. So no creator performance and lacking pen functionality on the form factor that would ultimately serve this type of user quite well. So that's a meaningful gap when you're asking somebody to spend $4,000. Now, to Asus' credit, they knew it. This wasn't a product built for mass adoption. It was a proof of concept. It was their way of figuring out what people actually wanted from a multi-screen portable device. And this is what I love most about Asus. As a brand, they're willing to take a momentary, quote, failure for long-term innovative strides. The answer that they landed on is that people wanted more screen, but they also wanted real performance and functionality. And they didn't need the screen to fold.
Big shout out to Asus for partnering with me on this series covering the ZenBook Duo.
All right, by 2024, they had a fundamentally different answer to the same question. Gone was the fold display. Instead, the ZenBook Duo had 2 completely separate 14-inch OLED panels. One where you normally find the screen of the laptop, and the other one built into the chassis where the keyboard would typically reside. Now, the keyboard itself became detachable folio that clipped magnetically onto the lower screen while turning the whole thing into a traditional-looking laptop when you needed it, and a dual display workstation when you didn't. Now, most people's experience with dual screens is, more side by side, or 2, horizontal screens positioned next to each other and connecting like this. So it was a new idea on how to work. But what I really liked about this was how they built a stand into it so it stood up. And this, as I said in my previous video, it really helps with posture and ergonomics of your work day experience, especially for somebody like me who's spending long hours behind a laptop or desktop setup. I really like this on-the-go ergonomic setup. I may not even use the lower screen, but just the fact that anywhere I go, I have a built-in stand and a laptop that stands up ready for me to sit comfortably and look completely level across my laptop is a big win for me. It helps my neck, it helps my shoulders, and really it helps lower back pain as well. And so for me, this alone was a huge transition. It took us from, hey, this is a neat idea to give us more workspace, to this is a healthier way of working. For people who live in multiple windows, say editors, designers, researchers, developers running a reference doc alongside their main work, the extra vertical workspace is legitimately useful. But let's talk about hardware, because this is where the 2024 model was a serious step up from the Fold, but in my opinion, not quite enough to take on full editing or production workflows, which I guess really wasn't its design, but for me on the go, it's something I've been looking for. Asus moved to Intel's Aero Lake H platform, the Intel Core Ultra 9 285H running at a sustained 35 watts, a worthy performance upgrade capable of handling photo editing, some video work, and multitasking without throttling that made the Fold quite frustrating under heavy workloads. Now, the displays were also an upgrade. 2.8K resolution at 120 Hz, 100% DCI-P3 color accuracy, all color calibrated from the factory. Now, the battery life held up pretty well on this device with an H series processor. Now, you had 2 displays running at a time occasionally. You could get around 8 hours of battery life when running on a single display. However, when running both displays, you were lucky to hit 4 hours of battery life. Still somewhat workable, definitely going to want to bring the charger along with you, but it was definitely a step up from the Fold. Now, the keyboard folio improved significantly over the predecessor in the Fold. They really took this seriously in this edition. The trackpad click is quiet and dampened. The keyboard is a full laptop key travel. It feels great. I've said in past videos, it's honestly one of my favorite keyboards. And I'm not even saying my favorite out of the other folio keyboards. It is literally my favorite keyboard out of many laptop keyboards. Now, it connects via Bluetooth and physical Pogo pin connectors, meaning that you can charge it automatically when it's attached to the laptop. And also, when it's connected directly to the laptop. So it's not going through Bluetooth when it's sitting on the laptop. So you have no input lag for that connection. Now, when you pull it off, it runs via Bluetooth, which is wildly convenient, but you may have occasional lags here and there, just depending if your connection gets a little interrupted. But overall, I've had no issues. Like I said, this is an amazing keyboard, excluding the fact that it's a folio. And that's a major accomplishment because I've tested other brands that have created dual screen laptops with detachable keyboards. And the keyboard was a major oversight. I mean, it's like they downright didn't even care to design the keyboard for the device. They just grabbed a crappy like $50 keyboard or less off of the shelf of, some of their low par keyboards and just threw it in the package. And so the fact that this is designed with intention for the ZenBook makes it an incredible package. And really, they've left no stone unturned when thinking about the engineering of this device.
Pricing kicked off around $1,899 in 2024, and then with CPU generational upgrades moving into 2025, the price increased a bit.
This places the laptop in line with other premium Ultrabooks. In fact, it was even more affordable than some models on the market, not to mention dramatically more reasonable than the original ZenBook Fold at $4,000. Now, the remaining criticisms were real but manageable. The battery life was still not capable of a full workday while running both screens, but it got us some of the way through the day. And the question of whether this was a better deal than a regular Ultrabook plus a portable monitor hadn't fully gone away. I have a full video about that, so definitely head on over to the channel or check it out linked in the end cards if you want to check out the full details. But the 2025 ZenBook Duo proved the concept. It was a fully functional, well-built product with legitimate performance and a display setup that genuinely changed how you could work. Asus just needed to refine it a little bit more. And that's where the 2026 model came in. Physically, Asus made the whole package about 5% smaller by redesigning the hinges so that the two displays sit closer together.
In the 2024 model,
there was a visible gap between the two screens, plus a noticeable offset when the two screens sat, and so they didn't meet neatly on the same plane, which makes the whole setup feel a little more intentional and a little less like two devices kind of mashed together. The bezel between the panel, bezel party, bezeling up this place, bezel ballers. Okay. The bezel between the panels went from noticeable to barely there. The hinge is sturdy, handling 20 pounds of weight on the hinge itself. Pretty cool test they showcased at CES. The chassis material changed as well.
On the original 2024 model,
we had a standard aluminum top cover, but then we moved to the Ceraluminum chassis on the new 2026 model. And honestly, it feels a little bit lighter as well. Now, the Ceraluminum chassis in a nutshell is kind of what it sounds like. It's a mishmash of ceramic and aluminum together. Now, what I like about this is it's much more resistant to scratches and smudges than the original anodized finish on previous models. It has a slightly different feel to the hand, not quite as cool and metallic as the traditional aluminum, but it ages much better. Now, the hardware got a nice little boost as well. We moved to Intel's Panther Lake platform, and this is where the 2026 model makes its strongest argument. The top-tier Core Ultra X9 388H pairs with the integrated Arc B390 graphics featuring 12 XEE cores. It's a meaningful upgrade for the GPU. I've been testing this system on specific creator benchmarks like 6K video editing, Photoshop benchmark. I even did a little 3D modeling testing, and I'm noticing that this actually has what it takes to do some real creator use, especially on the go if you want to take more screen real estate with you. And I'll have my full creator review out with all the benchmarks are complete in the coming week or two. So definitely keep an eye on the channel and comment below if you want me to do any specific tests, or if I didn't answer a specific question in this video, please comment below and I hope to be able to answer that in the next video. Now in regards to usability, looking like we're gonna have some light gaming capabilities, video editing, some motion graphics. This type of work would have pushed the 2025 model beyond its limits. Now the displays got an upgrade as well. Asus moved to what they are calling Lumina Pro OLED panels. Same 2.8K resolution, but with a wider refresh rate of 48 to 144 Hertz, a higher peak brightness at 1000 nits HDR, and an anti-reflective coating that cuts down the environmental glare without really disrupting the visual quality of the panel.
The 2026 model came with pen support just like its predecessor. And so for that, they continued on that legacy of the two 2.8K displays with that pen capability.
Now the audio was upgraded moving into the 2026 model as well.
2024 had only downward facing speakers
On the bottom of the device, where the 2026 has 6 speakers, including front-firing tweeters positioned near the hinge. Now the difference is audible, louder, and more, kind of that spatial surrounding experience where you feel like it's immersive, not just like blaring at you. Now the biggest single improvement, in my opinion, was the battery life. Now Asus increased the battery from 75 watts to 99 watts. We now have two 49.5 watt hour batteries divided into each panel. This is a dual screen laptop that lasts over 15 hours in real world testing with a single display active, and over 10 hours with both screens running simultaneously. So where does that leave us? 2022, the ZenBook Fold was a $4,000 experiment. Fascinating to look at, hard to justify buying.
In 2024, the ZenBook Duo
was a product that had found its footing. Good performance, great displays, and a price that met reality a little bit closer. Now 2026, we have a refined machine that's genuinely impressive in regards to battery life, has a powerful integrated GPU, and tighter physical design. For me, the final test is going to be, does this have the performance I need? And that's going to be featured in the creator benchmark. Now, one thing that I'm sure you're wondering is, where'd the price point go? It did increase quite a bit from the 2025 model. The top tier model now prices out at $2699. But if we can get some performance on par with some mid-tier workstation laptops, then I think that price justification really fits out. Now the base model is going to be a little bit more affordable. Overall, I love that Asus continues to take these types of risks to push the industry forward. It seems like so many companies right now are kind of sitting on their heels or obsessively diving into the AI gold rush in order to produce more chips and fancy features that fit those enterprise clients when kind of rejecting the consumer market. And what I love about Asus is they refuse to just go all gung-ho on enterprise, and they still are making innovations on the consumer side. And that, for me, if I had a hat, would be a great hat tip. Thank you so much for working through this video. Click or tap the screen here for more videos about the ZenBook Duo, the benchmarks to come. Comment below. That was a lot to ask of you, but maybe you'll do all of it. Maybe you won't. I'll see you in the next video.